The movie kicks off at an American football game. In the VIP stands, we see a guy named Nicky chilling with his girlfriend Jess. The game's on, but Nicky's more focused on the crowd. He spots a gorgeous woman getting up to leave, and a wild idea pops into his head. He makes a small bet with Jess. Let's see how many people turn to look at her. Another guy there, Luayan, chimes in, wanting a piece of the action. Nicky agrees. They all joke about a $10 bet and start counting. When the woman's out of the stands, the final count is 7 people who turn to look. Jess guessed the closest number, so she wins. Luayan pays up without a fuss and then suggests another round. This time, the bet is about who'll make the next foul. Jess bails, saying she knows nothing about the game, but Nicky jumps in, putting down $1,000. The whistle blows, the ref signals a foul, and Nicky's team turns out to be the right pick. He wins the bet and pockets the cash. Luayan's even more pumped after losing. He says, "Let's make it $5,000 this time." The question is, will they pass the ball or run with it? Nicky's a bit hesitant about playing for $5,000, but he eventually agrees. Luayan guesses they'll run, and Nicky says they'll pass. The whistle blows and the player actually runs with the ball. Nicky just lost $5,000. Nicky decides, no big deal, $5,000 lost, it's fine, let's stop. He tells Jess they should go for coffee, but Luayan insists. You're in the VIP lounge, you've got money. What's $5,000? One more round, $10,000 this time. Nicky finally caves. The question now, will the next pass be successful? Nicky predicts yes, the pass will be good, but the other team intercepts it. Now Nicky's down $15,000. As he pulls out the money, Nicky looks a bit annoyed. He thinks for a moment and says, all right, this time let's do $500. Jess is shocked to hear this, but Nicky looks furious. Luck's not on his side. He loses the next bet too, having to shell out another $500. Jess immediately tells him to stop, but his anger and ego get the better of him. Without thinking, he bets $100,000. Luayan scoffs. You even have that kind of money? Without a word, Nicky throws a whole stack of cash onto the table. Luayan gets excited now too. Nicky bets that the next pass will be intercepted, not completed. But this time, the pass goes through. Nicky's now lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. He has no idea how to get out of this mess. Jess is stunned by his behavior, but the game has escalated to an insane level. Nicky says, I've got $1 million left, all in. Let's see who wins. This time it's decided by cards. Luayan's been on a winning streak, so he's ecstatic. He starts looking at Nicky like an ATM. Luayan pulls his card, a 5. Nicky just needs a card higher than a 5. His chances of winning are pretty good. Nicky picks up his card and confidently flips it, but it's a 3. A 3! Jess immediately falls out of her chair. When Nicky started the game, he was only planning to bet about $4,000, but now he's lost over $1 million, roughly 90 million rupees. After this humiliating defeat, he has nothing left to say. He quietly takes Jess's hand and starts to lead her out. He's heartbroken. But Luayan keeps taunting him. He says, that's what happens, son, when you play with the master. Nicky stops and makes one more bet, $2 million. This time the idea's a bit new. Nicky challenges Luayan to pick any random player with binoculars, and if Nicky guesses their jersey number correctly, he wins. Luayan's a bit confused by this. He says, this is like mind reading, man. He feels like Nicky's digging his own grave. He's also a little suspicious, wondering if Nicky's cheating. To dispel his doubts, Nicky says, all right, I won't even guess. This time, Jess will guess. Jess glares at Nicky in anger. She can't understand what's going on. What are the chances that out of all these people, I'll say the right jersey number? She asks, starting to walk away. But Luayan's security guard stops her, and there's a small scuffle. Jess calms herself down a bit. Nicky tells her, just scan the ground and say whatever number feels right. Luayan picks up the binoculars and chooses a player. Then Jess takes the binoculars and scans the entire field. All she sees are jersey numbers. How can she guess? Then her eyes land on a familiar face, and she remembers Nicky's words. Pick the number that feels right to you. Their friend Farhad is there, wearing jersey number 55. Jess understands that this was all part of Nicky's plan. She says, number 55, and it's exactly right. Luayan is stunned by her answer. Jess herself is momentarily lost in thought, wondering how Nicky knew beforehand that Luayan would pick that number. But at this moment, none of that matters. They've won the bet. They've made a $2 million profit and gotten all their lost money back. Carrying 2 big bags full of cash, they leave the stadium. In the car, Nicky tells Jess that this was all part of their plan. They'd been tracking Luayan for a long time. Turns out, Luayan was famous in high society for his gambling addiction. No matter what anyone bet, he'd jump in. Nicky's team had cooked up this whole scheme. As soon as Luayan stepped out of his hotel room, the number 55 was subtly implanted in his subconscious. His security guard's lapel pin had 55 on it. The signboards on the way to the stadium also had that number. And they didn't just show him the number, they made him hear it too. On the way to the game, they'd played a song in Luann's car that repeatedly hinted at the number 55. The song had a sound like 55 124 times. This kept pulling Luann's mind towards that number. Plus, he'd been shown a photo of Farhad, creating a visual memory. So when he looked through the binoculars, his mind naturally went to number 55, and Jess, seeing Farhad, immediately said 55. Jess hadn't been told anything beforehand, so that her expressions throughout the game would be completely genuine, ensuring no one would suspect them. Hearing all this, Jess is totally impressed with Nikki. The story then flashes back to a few days earlier. Nikki is in a room, on a bed, with a gun pointed at his head. Jess is sitting nearby, someone he'd only met a few days ago. It's clear Nicky's been caught in someone's trap, but there's no fear on his face. He just flat out says, "I don't have a single penny. If you want to shoot, go ahead." The man with the gun reads his reactions and immediately recognizes that this guy is a player, a bigger con artist than them. And his guess is spot on. Nicky is a brilliant con artist who pulls off small-time thefts with incredible finesse. Jess was actually the one who lured him into this room. He saw a natural talent in her. Jess hadn't understood anything at the time. Anyway, once the man with the gun left, Nikki told Jess she had a gift, and if she honed this talent for conning people, she could live off it for the rest of her life. Nikki says, "It's a family business for us. My father, his father, all con artists. We're generational con artists. Every trick, every move was a game to him." Jess wastes no time, pulls out some cash, and says, "I want to learn from you." Nikki doesn't see any need to waste time either. Even as they left, Nikki had stolen Jess's ring without her even noticing. Before Jess could figure out what happened, her watch was gone too. And when she put her watch in her handbag, Nikki had already taken her wallet. After all these stunts, Nikki says, "Sleight of hand, timing, and a little bit of style, that's all you need for this job." That day, Nikki said nothing more to her than goodbye. A few months later, Jess tracks him down in New Orleans, where Nikki had started building a new team. Their meeting was actually a test. He wanted to see if Jess was even good enough to join their team. When Jess agreed, Nikki sent her to a fair with one of his team members. Today was Jess's first practical assignment. She held a map and started asking people for directions. Just then, her partner subtly stole a tourist camera lens. Then another partner intentionally bumped into a man and Jess picked his wallet. Jess was starting to feel more confident in her thieving style. She even used chopsticks to snatch a wallet from another woman's bag, and everything was so smooth that no one suspected a thing. Nikki was watching all this from the top of a building. He told the team to leave her alone. Now it was her turn to fly. Jess started stealing expensive items one after another, and with each theft, Nikki's respect for her grew. Now Nikki sent her on another big assignment. This time it was a high-tech fraud. Using special lenses, they could see other people's cards and easily beat them in games. There was also a credit card stealing system going on. The card would be stolen and secretly sent to a teammate, where a device would copy its data, and then the card would go back into the person's pocket. By the time anyone figured it out, the entire account would be empty. Another con system was the fake ATM machine. Whenever someone withdrew money from the ATM, their PIN would automatically be stored in the machine. Farhad would quietly remove the machine and take all the data. All the stolen credit cards were put into different categories, used to buy luxury items, and finally their data was sold on the black market. One day Jess saw a beautiful necklace and put it on, but Nikki told her to take it off immediately. He strictly explained that all items had to be sold. Nothing should be personal. Jess was seeing this level of con artistry for the first time. Standing amidst a mountain of stolen goods felt surreal. The next day, Jess and Farhad were walking in a wealthy neighborhood. Their job was to act. Farhad pretended to faint, and Jess started screaming, "Please, someone help us, please!" It was a distraction, which the rest of the team used to steal valuables from nearby wealthy people. Then the whole team disappeared, hiding in an ambulance. Everything was so well planned that no one suspected a thing. That night, they all celebrated together. Nikki praised everyone because in just 1 week, they had made $1.2 million. The next day, all the team members were going their separate ways. All documents were destroyed, and everyone was assured that their money would be in their bank accounts within a few days. But the old members knew that Nikki had one last mission. They gave him $1.2 million in cash, and even warned him in front of Jess not to blow it on gambling. The next morning, Nikki took Jess to the VIP lounge at the stadium. He put on a whole show for Jess, demonstrating how they could make millions of dollars in just a few minutes. By this point, Jess was starting to fall a little bit in love with Nikki. She felt like she was his girlfriend. That's why he was showing her all this, she thought, but Nikki had only included her in his group for the con from the very beginning. When everything was over, Nikki gave her $80 cash and finally said, "Goodbye." Jess looked at him, tears in her eyes. Her heart was broken. On one hand, she had truly fallen for Nikki. On the other hand, she also felt that $80 was too little, especially since Nikki had just made $1 million. But in Nikki's world, there was no place for emotions, and Jess had now seen his true colors. About 3 years later, we see a race car pulling into a service station, and soon we spot Nicky there. His eyes are tired, and it's clear from his face that he's running low on cash. At lunchtime, he has a meeting with the owner of a race car team, Garia. Garia's research team had developed a new algorithm called EXR, but they wanted to improve it further to increase their chances of winning. For this, they hired Nicky. The plan was simple. Nicky would pretend to be their chief engineer. Then they'd stage a fight between him and Garia so that other teams would fall into their trap. After that, Nicky would sell a fake version of EXR to a rival team, while Garia's team would use the real system, guaranteeing their victory. According to the deal, Nicky was supposed to get 1 million euros for this job, plus whatever he made from selling the fake system. Nicky thought this job was a joke. He could pull off such a simple scam in his sleep. But Garia's butler didn't trust him at all. He directly threatened to Nicky, saying, "If you mess anything up, I'll put a bullet straight through your chest." Nicky put on a tuxedo and headed out to attend a party that evening. Their plan was to stage their fight in the middle of the crowd, but their plans shattered the moment Jess made her entrance, descending the stairs in a red dress and going straight to hug Garia. Nicky's head spun. He hadn't seen Jess in 3 years, and now she was with someone else. And that someone was the very man who had hired Nicky. Jess calmly approached Nicky and said, "I'm not a con artist anymore, and what happened 3 years ago means nothing now." She also said that Garia knew nothing about Nicky and her past relationship, and that it would be better if this remained a secret. Hearing all this, Nicky's blood boiled. He picked up a glass of vodka and drained it in one go. Before, he needed to act like he was fighting. Now he genuinely felt angry at Garia, and he staged an incredible fight in front of everyone. This drama delighted the rival racing team. Soon, security threw him out of the party, but now he had the rival team's business card in his hand. The next morning, Nicky met the owner of the McLaren team. He got straight to the point. "It'll cost 3 million euros. I want to sell you the EXR system." The race car owner wasn't short on cash, so there was no need for negotiation. They immediately tested it on the track, and the owner's face lit up when he saw the results. Nicky assured him that the full software would be delivered in 48 hours. Meanwhile, Jess met Farhad on the street. Nicky had sent Farhad. He told Jess that Nicky's departure 3 years ago was necessary. They had no choice. He said that Nicky still loved Jess. Farhad gave Jess a box, inside which was the same necklace Jess had liked. There was no guarantee it was real or fake, but that didn't matter. Seeing the necklace, Jess's heart melted. Jess said she couldn't trust Nicky, but her eyes conveyed something else entirely. She still felt something for him. Soon, the day of the deal arrived, and Nicky handed over the software to the McLaren team owner. In return, a burly man handed him 3 million euros. But Nicky's nature was such that he didn't work without risk. He secretly sold a copy of that software to all the racing teams. Each handshake brought new euros. He raked in millions with every team he met. Until the race started, no one knew that everyone had the same system. That night, instead of escaping, Nicky messaged Jess. If she came in time, they could escape together. Nicky waited, but no one came. At the last moment, when he was about to give up and leave, Jess arrived. But it wasn't time to escape yet, because at that very moment, the same burly man who had given him 3 million euros on behalf of the McLaren team appeared in front of Nicky. Turns out, he was Garia's man. He had figured out the truth. Nicky hadn't sold a fake, but the real software. He wasn't interested in Garia's 1 million euros at all. Now, fully geared up, he intentionally crashed into Nicky's car. Nicky and Jess were caught after a fatal accident. After tying them up, all the cash was laid out in front of Garia. Garia was furious about Nicky's stunt. He had invested 40 million euros into developing this program, and now it was all wasted. The biggest thing was that Garia couldn't understand how Nicky had stolen the real software. When Nicky didn't say anything, Garia pinched Jess's nose and her breathing stopped. Nicky broke down seeing this. He confessed everything. He had rekindled Jess's old affection for him and given her a necklace with a special chip inside. As soon as Garia opened the software, Nicky used that necklace to steal his password and data. Hearing this, Jess's heart shattered. Tears streamed down her face, but Garia and his men started laughing. They liked the story, but they didn't believe Nicky. Garia revealed that Jess wasn't his girlfriend. "I knew she was with me for the money." Jess also confessed that she only wanted to steal his expensive watch collection. Nikki was shocked that Jess had faked being in love with Garia just to make him jealous. Now both of them were caught. Garia didn't waste much time. He asked the butler, "How did Nikki steal the software?" Just as Nikki started to speak, the butler fired a shot. The bullet went straight into Nikki's chest. Garia's face turned white. He panicked and told the butler, "Money can be earned back, but if I go to jail for murder, my life is over." He immediately fired the butler and ran out of the warehouse. Jess was crying uncontrollably, but the butler said, "There's no need to be scared. He was actually Nikki's man. And to be honest, I'm his father, his real father. He had intentionally shot him on the side of the heart. He sealed the wound with tape, extracted blood with a needle, and stabilized the air pressure in his chest." Suddenly, Nikki opened his eyes again. He was still alive. This act was a bit crazy, but it worked. A pile of money was left behind, and the three of them left. Nikki was actually an orphan, and this very butler had raised him. He had taught Nikki all these con artist skills. The rule was, never get emotional. But now Nikki was truly falling in love with Jess. The butler dropped them off by the side of a road and took all the money. Nikki got nothing. But on the way to the hospital, Nikki saw Garia's €200,000 watch on Jess's hand. They looked at each other and smiled. With this trickery and sleight of hand, they wouldn't starve in any corner of the world. If you liked the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.